Elon Musk, along with more than 1,000 tech leaders and researchers, are calling for a pause in artificial intelligence technology, citing profound risks to society. Joining me now to discuss this and much more is Dr. Olaf Groth with UC Berkeley's Haas School of Business. Thanks so much for joining us. Starting off, why would we need to put a pause on AI? And I don't know about you, it's a little concerning when they're saying something's going to be a risk to society. We're talking about robots, essentially, right?
Yeah, I was just going to wish you a beautiful Bay Area morning, Liz, but that is, of course, a stark thought, right? AI killing all of us or enslaving all of us. Look, it's a good thing that a lot of the people that are the key innovators behind these types of AI are saying, we got to slow this thing down. We got to take a break. We got to assess it because government regulators, policymakers, but really everybody in society needs some time to wrap their arms around this and wrap their brains around this and understand what the utility is, but also what the risks are. So I think it's a great signal. I do think we need to slow down. Whether a moratorium is actually practicable and operationally feasible, I tend to doubt, only because it's very hard to control who's actually stopping development and who is continuing, especially if you consider international competition with China and with others. And China, of course, is unlikely to heed any U.S. call on slowing this down. But we also need to distinguish between, a moratorium or slowing down on productization, so product development for AI products that hit the masses and could cause a lot of upheaval in society, and the science behind AI, right? So we shouldn't slow down or halt science. Science tells us what's what, including opportunities and risks. It's really a pathfinder for us. We don't want to pause the pathfinding. We want to pause the disruption in the products. And so focus on the products, not on the science.
Okay, let's talk economics. There's been discussions about de-dollarization, which refers to the dollar losing dominance in the global market. Any truth to this? And should we be concerned about this?
Well, look, I mean, factually, yeah, it's true that the dollar, the global holdings in reserves denominated in US dollars have decreased from 71% to 59% 2 years ago. And so factually, that's true. A few dollars being held globally. And there are a number of international country alliances, and there are some heavyweights behind those, like China, Russia, not surprisingly, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey, a whole bunch of Central Asian countries, and even Latin American countries like Brazil, who are saying, look, with the waning dominance of the US-led globalization model, Bretton Woods and so on and so forth, we got to create some alternatives to the US dollar, because the US dollar comes with US power, the power to issue sanctions, the power to engage in important trade wars. And of course, China is taking some lessons from the Russian war in Ukraine now and the US response to that. And so there are a lot of countries led by Russia and China that want to create a parallel system. There's various alternatives out there, whether it's, the digital yuan at some point, or the petro yuan, as they call it, or whether it's a basket of Nordic currencies, whatever it may be. And of course, you've got the crypto enthusiasts that are coming at the topic from a different angle, libertarian, right, to create that power balance.
Yeah. I want to talk about San Francisco as a city and an economic center here. The recent exit of a Whole Foods store from San Francisco drawn a lot of criticism to the city, with people talking about high crime, theft, homelessness. Elon Musk has a lot of followers, and he compared downtown San Francisco to a zombie apocalypse. Is there a concern that San Francisco is no longer considered an epicenter for innovation, entrepreneurship, the tech industry? Too many businesses are just fed up with all of this and packing up and leaving?
Yeah, look, I think there's two different questions here, right? One, of course, what's going to happen to San Francisco? And I will tell you, this city looks very differently, feels very differently from when I got here in 1997, and that's a shame. It really does feel a little bit like a ghost town in large parts of it. And there is a lot behind it, right? There is, of course, the fact that San Francisco has always been, in large measure, about tech and finance. Those are well-paying jobs. They have been driving out, those jobs and those people that hold those jobs that earn less money, like nurses and baristas and artists and teachers and so on and so forth. And that's a shame, because we need that diversity, both in terms of cultural attractiveness, but also in terms of innovation, which benefits from diversity of thought and life, right? So there's all that, and we got to do something about that. And then there is the question of, is this going to impact the tech industry? And here, I don't really see that it's going to make a big dent. I think, the tech industry has, in large measure, become very flexible. How much you're going to have to be in the office, how much you can work remotely from almost anywhere. And so they're actually giving up office space. So the question is, how do we now meet those two challenges head on? And there are some creative proposals out there, like converting some of that office space into affordable housing for people of various walks of life, or bringing a major university to San Francisco, converting that space into university space and into dorms. Creative proposals, we'll have to see. All of that is only going to work if we tackle homelessness and crime in the city, because people won't want to live here and work here, walk the streets at night, if it's not safe to do.
Absolutely. All right, Dr. Olaf Groth from UC Berkeley, thanks so much.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.